2,
Hello,
3.
this is Harry Paden. I'm the host of the Irvington Now show. Today I have as a guest Mrs. Mary Michailidis, and Miss Michailidis is the new principal at Irvington High School. Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you, Mr. Paden?
Yes, very well, very well. And we'll get into some of your background in a couple of minutes. But can you give our audience some background information on yourself?
Yes. I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I actually had my professional career in Connecticut. I just recently remarried in the fall and moved to New Jersey full time. I was living in 2 states for the last 7 years. But my husband was like, I think it's time for one of us to move our jobs, and it turned out to be me, which was fine, but emotional because I've been in Connecticut my entire life, in terms of my career as well. So now I live in Mendham, New Jersey with my husband, and we have 5 children between the 2 of us, and one's still in high school, the rest are in college or one out anyway. And I'm really enjoying my new life here in New Jersey and with my new job at Irvington High School.
Yes, fantastic. And I know that can be, not traumatic, it's probably not the word, but I've been in New Jersey most of my life. I was born in New York, but my family moved when I was in the 4th grade, so most of my life has been in New Jersey. I've anticipated possibly moving to the South, just as, thought process, but you're so comfortable, where you are. Like you say, Connecticut has been your home, so your husband's a lucky person because you moved for your husband. So, if you're looking at this, Mr. Michailidis, now you know how much your wife loves you.
Thank you.
Okay, now how long have you been in the education field, and what are some of the positions you've held?
Right. This is actually my 29th year, and I'm actually only 32. No, I'm just kidding.
You sound like me.
It's my 29th year, actually. This is my 9th year as an administrator. My first year as a principal, but I spent 8 years as an assistant principal at Brian McMahon High School in Norwalk, Connecticut. So I have wonderful experience to transition now as the principal of the high school, but 20 years as a math teacher in a high school, Stanford High School, and a department chair of mathematics. So that is my work experience, my education. I actually have a BA in economics from the University of North Carolina. I'm always proud to say that. And then after that, I made a career change out of an investment company, and I went straight into education because there was something about children and math that I wanted to connect, and it ended up being how I started my career.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love education. Education is something that I was a type student, very studious, loved to go to school, cried if I couldn't go to school because I had sniffles or anything like that. The one thing I can always say, though I did well in math, it was always that little like I wonder how accountants go to work every day dealing with numbers and mathematicians. So I always am slightly intimidated by those who master that or math. Because I say, how could they, that's their life. So again, you are a special person because, like I said, I look at those as, even though I have a certain intellectualness about me, I wouldn't want to be a mathematician or an accountant and crush your numbers all the time, but that's your field, so just know I'm a little impressed with that.
Thank you.
Now, were there any similarities between your last school district and the Irvington School District?
Yes. My whole career has been in urban schools, and my last district has a similar makeup. Not exactly. We were actually about a third white, black, Hispanic, and here we're predominantly black and Hispanic. But the similarities are in terms of academic challenges and socioeconomic challenges and behavioral challenges are exactly the same. The difference is that I'm now very excited to be in a 1 high school town. I don't have competing interests with a 2 high school town, and it's a smaller school. I came from a 1,700 size high school to a 1,300 size high school, so it's very exciting to me. Very exciting.
Yes, okay, good. And I don't know, I might have made an error, audience, Ms. Michailidis is principal of Irvington High School. So if I failed to mention that, she is the principal at Irvington High School now. So, I just don't remember if I mentioned that in the beginning. Now, Irvington High School's current vision statement Can you share that with our audience, and were you able to give input into its establishment?
I wasn't able to give input to its establishment because it was created before I arrived, but indeed I believe in it because it really asks for all students and everyone involved, teachers, parents, students themselves, to help them reach their full academic potential. So we have a lot of things in place, including making sure the curriculum is rigorous, making sure the classroom instruction is engaging, and so forth and so on. So the vision statement I received when I got here, but I am 100% in support of it.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And that's what the reason I ask that is because sometimes we take on the mantra, let's say, of what is already there. But again, it's good and it's easy when you can buy into it. And I looked into it, and actually, I absolutely do buy into it because, like you said, it covers all aspects of what would make the child a better child. Audience, you may hear some clicking and clanging. There's a copy machine in here, and it's a humongous copy machine. Every once in a while, it decides to do its clicking and clanging. So if you hear that, recognize that's the environment, and so I answered that question for you. Now, what is the Blue Night Den, DEN?
Right. Well, we're lucky enough to have a program called Care Plus, and it's a social service agency that provides social services inside a school building. So what research shows is that if a student needs social services and is able to get it during the school day and or at school, they're more likely to succeed and or use that service versus an outside agency.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. And again, that's must be, and you can help me with this, must be something new. I had two daughters who went to Irvington, and graduated. Were graduated from Irvington High School, one in '95 and the other in '97. And I don't remember that being a part of it, or it wasn't called that. But those are great services because there are, as we spoke about, urban school districts where there are a myriad of problems sometimes in the home, in the environment, that students bring to the classroom, and it kind of impedes their learning. Mm-hmm. So can you just, do you know when it came to the school or how long?
I don't know the exact years, but it is pretty new. The other thing that, separate from the social services that Care Plus provides for students internally, they also, for the school population, the student population holistically, they also provide speakers and things like that. So we actually have a speaker coming this month to speak to the freshmen and the sophomores. An inspiring message, and I don't want to give away his name, but indeed it's more like it doesn't matter where you came from, but it's where you go, or where you end up kind of thing that matters.
Okay, beautiful. Audience, we have entertained a few questions, and we will come back. Please stay with us, as I always do, and I probably always forget to just about at the end, but call a friend, call a neighbor, let them know that the principal of Irvington High School is here. Even if you don't have a youngster at the high school, it's good to know what is going on at the high school and what kind of things can assist your child or your nephew or someone that you know as they go through the experience of being at a high school. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, Harry Paden. I'm back and I'm the host of the Irvington Now Show, and I've been interviewing the new principal to the Irvington High School, and we've covered some aspects of being the principal at Irvington High School. I'm Mrs. Michailidis, and I hope I pronounced it right because I'm so. I did good. What are some of the challenges you and your staff face at Irvington High School?
I think right now what I find is our biggest challenge, because we've had some challenges that we seem to be able to address rather quickly, is being able to work with the parents and convince them that indeed they still can participate with their children at this age and be a part of their education and their experience as a high schooler, because a lot of the students act, as they say, grown, but really they're still only 14, 15, 16, 17, and I even tell the 18-year-olds, until you're paying your own rent and your utility utility bills, you're still under the roof of your parents, so you need to follow the rules. So I think, again, convincing the parents and encouraging the parents and having them build confidence to come into the school or, contact the school and find out how their child is doing has been a challenge, but parents have been very open to our phone calls and our our PTSA meetings and stuff like that, and open house was a good turnout. So I think it's going to start moving in the right direction. It's just, that's one of our challenges.
Right, and that is something I relay as experience. I have had the great fortune of raising 6 children, 1 biological, 4 adopted, and 1 that they use the term stepdaughter. She's,
Yes.
when I met her mother, she was already there. But when a youngster, probably from the age 12 and up, there's a transformation that takes place that's remarkable as I look back on it, because when children are younger, yes, Dad, no, Mom, they may be a little disobedient, but they're very compliant. But once they get to be teenagers, they're just different. They have that, I think I'm grown, and yes, it was just what you said, and we do. It's such a great thing, because that's the same thing I say, is that you're not actually grown, even if you're 20-something, until you're out on your own, paying your bills and independent of anyone else. So certainly that's a good thing for them to know. Now, this is something remarkable about the school system. I just want to get your opinion of it, because many years ago, people would talk about that we need to have a dress code and let children wear uniforms like they do in the Catholic schools. They would always talk, that's how many years ago it was. And I used to be one of the persons saying, it'll never work. Kids will never buy into it. They'll never wear uniforms. They're just too stylish and all that. But all the schools in the district and many across the nation now have established dress codes. How do you feel the dress code has any effect on the students? If so, what effect does it have?
Okay. I'm going to love to answer this question, and I actually, back to one of your earlier questions, that it was a difference from the schools I've come from, but it was always a dream. I've always told the principals in the high schools that I worked that I always, if I had my own school, I would always say that I would have a dress code or a uniform, particularly because I feel it's a socioeconomic equalizer. And also it helps getting ready in the morning, by the way. When you have your clothes picked out for you, it makes the decision making much easier. But I have to be honest with you, it really, I believe, has a positive impact on the kids. Don't get me wrong, the challenges, that's another challenge at Daily. Kids come in out of uniform, but I have to believe that, a lot of the times if they had a perfect uniform situation, if they had many versions of it, they'd come in uniform every day. But there's some challenges. The laundry's not done, or so forth and so on. So we're getting through that too. We're giving kids examples on how to plan over the weekend to get their laundry done. But most of the time, the uniform policy has been working in our favor. It really creates that comfortable classroom environment as well. No one's looking at each other to see what they're wearing for shirts, tops, and accessories. It's really a really soothing learning environment.
Great. And again, like I said, I am absolutely amazed, because I've been out of the foray. My children, much like yours, I know you have mentioned that several are in college, and you're on the last vestige with one in high school.
Yeah.
Believe me, you have something to look forward to. I don't relish those days looking back, and I so admire my children now, wondering how I did it, how I dealt with the children, getting them up, going to school, and all that kind of stuff, because they have so much that they have to do. But as I looked at the website, to do some research on your interview, I found it very well put together, very informative, and there was especially something that was near and dear to my heart. I was a very involved parent. As a matter of fact, you mentioned the PTSA, the Parent Teacher Student Association, because the students do have an input because they are so mature. And I served as president of PTSA for a number of years. And you guys included a lot of information that relates to parents being involved. Can you share some details of this website and how it can assist parents, students, and the district?
Probably the most powerful piece of the parent link, when you go on the district website, on the upper left side is a little rectangular box, and I think it's called Parent Link. If you click on that, it brings you right to a location where you can actually access your students' grades, your child's grades and attendance through the parent portal. Right now our challenge, that's another challenge, getting that information out to parents because it's secured information and we really need the parent to come in. We distributed a lot of the username and passwords the night of open school night, but we need parents now, and I've done a school messenger automated call to remind parents to come into the school and get that information because it's private and we don't want to mail it. But they can stay in touch. There's another avenue in which a parent even remotely can be involved with their child's life. They can click on sign in anytime to see if their child's going to classes, if their child's doing well in their classes, and be able to have that conversation with their child, because their child's, when you ask them if they have any homework, they're going to respond, no, I don't, or I've done it all. And you're going to click on or log in and click on and say, no, you didn't do your science homework because there it is, I see it right there. So I think that's the biggest feature. There are other features of the website that are important, but I think for a parent to stay, for a high schooler to stay in touch with the academics and attendance, it'll be very helpful for the child, it'll be very helpful for us, and move things in a positive direction.
Absolutely, thank you. That's very good, and glad to know. Again, I don't have youngsters at the high school, and like I said, and I have to give them kudos. My children are doing such an excellent job that I'm so uninvolved in the children's life. I mean, they attend the parents' workshops and everything with the children. The children are doing well, and I'm sitting back at home saying, wow, my children are fantastic because of what they're doing to, keep my grandchildren in the educational flow.
Nice.
They're involved in everything. So, but to know that now a parent can just go to the computer and look at things like grades, attendance, and everything, and it helps the school and the parent work together, because that would always be my message, is that don't believe everything that the child says because we didn't have any homework today. Okay, great, no homework today. But when you communicate with the teacher, then you know, oh yes, you did. And that kind of takes away the power that the child has to just tell you a half truth. So that's great.
Yeah.
Now, why is it, and why is it, if it is, important for students to get involved in clubs and extracurricular activities while in high school?
Okay. Well, I think it's really important. I'll give you a few examples as well. But why I think it's important is that academics, develops your cognitive, your brain, and your ability to have like a toolkit to make decisions and problem solve in life. But I think clubs and extracurricular activities makes you explore sides of yourself you may or may not know you are interested in. So for example, if you go to try out for a sport, you may or may not make it or like it, and then at least I tried it, I don't like it. Or you may try a sport and really like it, and I give that as an example, and that is probably another message I'd like to give through this interview, is that we have a district here that also has a lot of children that are either foreign born or first generation, and their parents are foreign born, and the unfamiliarity of clubs and extracurricular makes them leery of letting their children join those things. And I give the example all the time that, I'm first generation American, my parents are Greek. I was born here, but they were born in Greece. And they allowed me to explore those things. I actually wanted to play soccer as a high school student. They didn't have a women's soccer team, so I went to play field hockey. And not only did I play field hockey, I actually went through college on a scholarship, and I'm sorry to boast a little bit, I'm a two-time All-American at the University of North Carolina.
Wow,
so you don't know. Here I am, this little first-generation Greek girl that had no idea what field hockey was, but the adults gave me the opportunity to try something unfamiliar, and I just flourished within it. And then, other clubs like, the Junior Achievement and there's a club for every kid.
Yes,
I just think it's very exciting to try different things and that interest you that are not academic necessarily. Just give you a different perspective.
Beautiful, beautiful. And again, I know that the extracurricular activities, as you said, at Irvington High School, are just too many to mention. They cover all avenues and all venues, from sports, academic, the JROTC. I had your great instructor, Sergeant Craig, who's the Teacher of the Year, Essex County Teacher of the Year. And so there's just so many. But the other thing that's great about it is that they get another level not just competing, but most of the leaders, like mentors, coaches, are another parent to them. If they get in trouble, they have another person they can come to and say, I messed up, I didn't do well in math class and I really need to make up some work. Okay, well they can talk to them, help them out of any crisis, or just give them life advice. So it is a great thing to be involved. And the last and final part is that there is a caveat. I know that the district, again, many years ago, because I was involved through the Board of Education, is that you have to have a certain grade point average to participate.
Right.
And that means that you have to have it.
Right.
You may be the greatest field hockey person, but if you can't maintain your grades, you cannot go out for field hockey.
Which is very important because, in theory, sport or playing a sport could be a temporary situation. Your job and your future are a full-time, 100% situation.
Yes.
So, are a permanent environment. So you have to really concentrate on your studies.
Yes.
And then everything else is extracurricular, as we say.
Yes. and the one thing for the audience and Mrs. Michailidis doesn't know I'm going to mention is I still attend the high school football games. I've attended since my children were there. I first saw her, I saw her just before the season began, but I saw her during the school year, and she was in the audience watching the high school, Irvington High School, 5-0. You should be there. Brand new stadium, Irvington High School, Blue Knights.
This Saturday, 1 o'clock.
Right, definitely. We're on the roll, and it's a great thing. But she was there, and not only was she there, she was doing the kind of things that you expect a principal. Someone decided that they wanted an e-cigarette to smoke, and many of us are sensitive about smoking and things like that. And she made sure that person recognized that smoking of any kind is not allowed in any activity. And she was there instructing people as to what to do. And I was impressed because sometimes you see people take their hands off. I don't want to get involved. This is not the actual school day. And she was there, and that person now recognized that they had to leave because that e-cigarette that they were smoking was forbidden and they had to leave. So she's a hands-on principal. And if you're working that way at a stadium at night, I can imagine how well the school is being run under your leadership.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, as we bring this segment to an end, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes. I do want to, at this moment, give also credit to my fantastic assistant principals who have been working with me since my first day, which was August 1st. Actually, I did come in on July 20th, one day to meet with them, but my first day was August 1st, and they've been a wonderful administrative team. They've assisted me to help me quickly learn the system, so to speak, and we've worked really well together to put some systems in place so we can help the school and the students achieve at a higher level academically and even socially and personally. So on that note, I want to add that we did add advisories. October 7th, advisories, a half-hour, twice-a-month moment, and you were talking about building relationships with the adults in the building, so through clubs where you have that adult that's non-threatening that you can go talk to. Well, now they also have another adult, the advisor, and it's no more than 12 students, single gender, single grade level. So I happen to have one, a 9th grade female advisory, and we're developing the lessons. The first lesson I created was on setting goals, so we use the progress report to do that, and the next lesson is going to be on time management and so forth and so on. So it gives the kids an opportunity to develop a relationship with another adult in the building that's not their teacher, not their counselor, not their administrator, not their dean, in a relaxed setting for a half hour, but also learn a life lesson that's going to help them futuristically. So I really at this point would love to say again, if we can be more of a team, let's say the families, the school, the students, and the community. I think that we'll see great things coming out of Irvington High School. A lot of great things have already. I would just like more of it.
Yes.
And I want more students to experience success academically, more socially, and if parents can support those notions, make sure they're coming to school on time. Our first class starts at 8:21. Students should really be arriving at 8:05, as I say. A lot of students show up at 8:30, and I'm not sure where they got that mixed message. So we need the parents to push them out the door, get them to school on time, remind them to do their homework, and just be that positive role model that they need at this time, in this time of their life that they think they don't need it. They need it.
Beautiful, beautiful, and it's been a pleasure, interviewing you and getting to know you better. At the high school, I have a certain love and compassion for the high school because, again, back in the day when my children were at the high school, there was I forget what you call them, but I always called her a matron. Kept the schools clean and everything. And she just made a joke. She said, "You must live here somewhere in the basement because I see you here every day," because I was just that involved in my children's life. And I'm not as involved anymore because my children don't attend, my children are grown, my grandchildren don't attend Irvington High School. Right. And again, my children are so involved in the children's, but you impress me. People who know me know I don't just say things off flip, I can see that the school district is in good hands. The other thing, Dr. Salters is your husband. Dr. Salters, I wanted to correct when I called you Mr. Michailidis, Dr. Salters, and I made my correction so that you would know. You have a great wife. Thank you for lending her to us during the day for our school district. And right now I'm dealing with a foot problem, and I was just relating to her that I'm so glad that I don't have to see you in your profession because it deals with diabetes and things like that, and I'm not really ready to deal with some of those things, and right now I'm being diagnosed. Right, absolutely. The other thing before we end, thank you audience members for sometimes many of the compliments. I've gotten compliments about my suits and everything. Those are always good things, and they're good compliments. They sometimes, people could say bad things. "Oh, you wear some terrible suits," but I got some compliments. They were great. Thank you. Today I have on pink. This is October. October, one of the many things in October is Breast Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I have on my pink. Please recognize that this is a month to recognize that. Do a little research. Even men, because men do catch breast cancer also. Make sure that you are timely with any exams and that you do take care of that. So again, I did want to bring that acknowledgement. See, I see things in the future.
That's right. Thank you.
Principal Michailidis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to possibly talking to you in the future.
Absolutely.
Irvington resident, your high school is in good hands. Just take a little time, go to the Irvington High School website, give some input, see if there's any kind of way that you can assist them. Businesses, if you want to assist, many things like helping some of the programs with a donation. This is coming from Harry Paden. It's not coming from the district or the Board of Education, but those things are always needed, and we welcome your input. Thank you always for looking at the show, and we look forward to continuing to bring you relevant information. And it was my pleasure today to bring you the new principal of the high school. I'd like to also finally thank the Honorable Mayor Tony Valls for giving me this opportunity to host the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again.